Welcome to another PowerPoint lecture in Supervised Ministry 302, provided for you by Fruitland Baptist Bible College. Hello, this is Steve Googe. I'm your instructor, and it's a delight to be with you today, and I hope that you're going to learn some things about the biblical DiSC profile. What will you learn today? Well, you'll learn the history of the DiSC profile. You'll learn what is included with the purchase of the biblical DiSC profile. I'm asking you to purchase this personality profile. However, if you cannot afford it, or if this would place undue hardship on your family, please let me know and we can make other arrangements. Then you'll learn what the letters DISC stand for. And then last, how to understand the four dimensions that characterize behavior. Now let's get started. It centers on four different behavioral traits, which today are called dominance, influence, steadfastness, and compliance. This theory was then developed into a behavioral assessment tool by industrial psychologist Walter Vernon Clark. It's important to understand that DiSC is not a personality assessment, but rather an assessment of behavior in given circumstances. For example, most people would say they do not behave the same at home and at work, but they are the same single personality. This online DiSC report focuses heavily on communication, predictable strengths, contributions to a team, and areas for improvement. This report includes biblical examples and principles. After purchase, you will receive an email with downloadable instructions and key codes to retrieve your online reports. The person taking the DiSC report will be able to download their results. Now, on the next slide, you will have an opportunity of seeing a brief video that describes the history of the DiSC profile.
When we talk about the development of DiSC, Empedocles in 444 BC talked about these four elements: fire, earth, air, and water. And basically, he was recognizing that people were different and that they acted in these four different styles. So he surmised that the environment affects the way they behave. It was these external elements that had an influence on how people acted. It wasn't until 400 BC that Hippocrates said, yeah, okay, I still recognize these four styles, but it's something internal. It's the fluids that run within a person. And you probably are still familiar with these terms: choleric, sanguine, phlegmatic, and melancholy. Maybe some of you have heard that. But anyhow, again, recognize that there are four styles here that Hippocrates looked at. And it wasn't until Carl Jung in about 1921 said, okay, you know what, let's move this. Let's make this a little bit more cerebral. There are people who are thinking, feeling, who sense, and who use their intuition. So we're starting now to understand now it's a thought process. Now it's a behavioral process. And it wasn't until William Marston published his work in 1926 that we start to use the phrase DiSC: dominant, influencing, steadiness, and compliant. And those are all great things, but the only thing I really want you to get out of this is that historically people have looked at these four different ways that people act, okay? And we are all a blend of those styles. How many of you believe that you can be one way at work and then be a totally different way at home? Right. So we believe that environment will impact your personality style. There's contributing factors to behavioral style, and one is heredity. God hardwired you in a way with your personality style. And that's one factor of what makes up who you are. The second is role models. When somebody teaches you or rewards you for behaviors. Our house is very communicative. And so when our kids learn to talk at an early age, we reward that because we ooh and ah over them. We have role models that will start to establish our behavior or our personality style. And then experiences, especially traumatic experiences. And so as you continue to grow and develop, if you are a child of divorce, that's going to impact your personality style. These experiences, especially in the developmental years, can have a dramatic impact on your personality style.
This online assessment and resulting report identifies an individual's unique personality style and helps to provide understanding to the differences in people. Included is a personal review of each individual's strengths and limitations as it relates to people and relationships of the Bible. Sections of the report include an introduction to your personality report, description, that is an understanding of your personality style, motivational characteristics of your behavioral style, communication do's and don'ts, a communication worksheet, and a graph page based upon your results. DiSC is often referred to as the universal language of observable human behavior. Oftentimes, when describing DiSC, people will start with what DiSC is not. It is not a measurement of emotional intelligence, personal intelligence, motivations, or education and training. It is also not a measurement of one's experience, personal skills, or worldview. What DiSC does, however, is it measures what you do. It's a measure of one's observable behavior. And lastly, it is a neutral language, meaning there are no good or bad behavior styles in the DiSC method. The foundation of today's DiSC is in the 4 dimensions that characterize behavior. There's dominance, how you respond to problems and challenges; influence, how you influence others to your point of view; steadfastness, how you respond to the pace of the environment; compliance, how you respond to rules and procedures set by others. The level of each of these dimensions determines what DiSC style you have. Your style is often noted by whichever dimension you scored highest in, followed by any other dimensions that were above the energy line as well. DiSC differentiates itself from a personality assessment by delving into the interpersonal relationship side of behavior, meaning that those trained in reading those tools can compare 2 contrasting DiSC reports and predict rather accurately where conflict or harmony could arise. What does DiSC stand for? What do the letters mean? D stands for dominance. The person places emphasis on accomplishing results, the bottom line, confidence. The person who scores high in dominance sees the big picture. They often are blunt in their communication style, they accept challenges, and they get straight to the point. What does the letter I in DiSC mean? Well, it refers to persons who place emphasis on influencing or persuading others. Openness, relationships are very important. Now, the person again who scores high in this category shows enthusiasm. They're usually optimistic. They like to collaborate with others, and they dislike being ignored. Now we come to the 3rd letter in DiSC. The S stands for steadfastness. This is a person who places emphasis on cooperation, sincerity, and dependability. A person who scores high in S demonstrates behavior that they don't like to be rushed in doing any project. They like a calm manner, a calm approach, supportive actions, and they have a wonderful quality of being humble in most cases. Now we come to the last letter in the acronym DiSC. It is the letter C and stands for conscientiousness. This person places a great deal of emphasis on quality and accuracy, experience, and competency. A person who scores high in C enjoys independence. They are very objective in their reasoning. They want all the details, and they fear something, and that is being wrong. Now, we've looked at all 4 of the letters. Dominance refers to a direct, strong-willed, and forceful individual. Influence, or I, talks about a person who enjoys being sociable. They're talkative. They're very lively. Steadfastness describes a person who is gentle, accommodating, and soft-hearted. A conscientious person is private. They're analytical, and they're logical. I hope you enjoy taking the DiSC profile, and I hope that it will help you discover some of the uniqueness with which God has created you in His image.